Class is now in session. I'm Professor Hockey, and today we'll be doing the Sharks weekly recap, this time of week 14. So the Sharks had 4 games on their schedule this week: Monday, Tuesday, a back-to-back, then Thursday and Saturday. And the week opened up with a game against longtime rival Los Angeles Kings. They've played already twice this season. Both games have gone to overtime. Both were extremely close, and the Sharks came out on the winning end of only one of those. They were hoping for a better result than their previous one, which was an overtime loss to the Kings, and they got one. While it wasn't a perfectly played game, the Sharks did manage to take the 2 points against the lowly Los Angeles Kings and win. I guess this would be their 3rd game in a row, 3-1. The Sharks then went on to face the Oilers the following day. The last time these two teams met, the Sharks trounced them 7-4, and once again they managed to put up 7 goals against the Oilers. They managed to shut down McDavid, leaving the Oilers only to his 2 goals, and get another key 2 points, putting their win streak to 4 games. The Sharks then had a very important game against the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that is very close to them in the Pacific Division standings as the Sharks battle for a first place spot in that division. The Flames lead them at the moment. The Golden Knights, I believe, are behind them, partially thanks, or mostly thanks, to this game that they played. It was a tough one. The Sharks, again, were not necessarily at their best, but they managed to get the win against the Golden Knights, prove that they can defeat the Golden Knights this season with a 3-2 win compared to their first game against them, where they lost 6-0. The Sharks then ended the week against the Ottawa Senators, a bit of an emotional game for a player like Erik Karlsson. Although these two teams have already met this season, it was the Senators getting the better of the Sharks in that one, 6-2, which was really the rock bottom point of the season for the San Jose Sharks. But this outcome was much better for the Sharks. They managed to take a relatively solid win, 4-1, and end the week on a 6-game winning streak. I believe that is the biggest in the NHL at the moment. Offensively, Erik Karlsson led the way with 0 goals, 6 assists for 6 points, and funnily enough, those 6 points only came in 2 games against the Kings and the Oilers. He had 3 assists in each, and yet he still managed to lead the team in points. That put his point total up to 41. Brent Burns with 2 goals and 3 assists, putting his defensive leading scoring point total up to 52, also leads the Sharks in points. Evander Kane with a similar 2 goals and 3 assists as he continues to stay hot with 5 points, 34 on the season now, as that becomes a more respectable number. Tomas Hertl also 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. Now he's up at 38 points. Then Donskoy scored 4 goals, put up 0 assists, and got himself 4 points, obviously, for 25 on the season. And Timo Meier, while he didn't get a goal, continued to put up points with 4 assists, putting his point total up to 41. News of the week. The first thing is some injury good news. Jonas Donskoy left the Senators game rather early on with an injury, but it seems as though he might be okay to actually play tomorrow against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hopefully he will be. Even if he misses a single game, I feel like it could be a detriment to how he has been playing recently, but if he can draw himself right back into the lineup, hopefully he can continue his hot streak. The other big injury on the Sharks is, of course, Marc-Edouard Vlasic. He remains to be day-to-day, but the Sharks are extremely vague when it comes to injuries, and so as such, we don't necessarily know if Vlasic is right on the edge of being able to play on Tuesday, or if he's still maybe a few games away. Hopefully he is ready, because it seemed as though the Sharks were hopeful that he could play by the end of last week, which he did not, or I guess the end of this week, which he did not. So definitely the Sharks could use Vlasic's presence in the games coming up. This one against the Pittsburgh Penguins, especially with the amount of offensive firepower that they do have. Next is the milestones. I haven't really talked about milestones much this season. We've had Joe Thornton's 400th goal. I believe he recently, I think it's tomorrow that he plays his 1,000th game as a San Jose Shark. We had Brent Burns' 1,000th game in its celebration a week or so ago. The celebration was last game against the Senators. We also had, I think Brent Burns got 600 points, I believe it was 600 points on the season. The Sharks recently got their 1,000th win in franchise history, and so this has been a bit of a season of milestones, and hopefully the Sharks can get the most important milestone of them all by taking the Stanley Cup at the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Finally, the All-Star Game. It's a bit of old news, although the actual full rosters were only decided a few days ago with the last man in voting. The Sharks will be sending 3 Sharks, 2 well, they're not really sending them anywhere, as it is the All-Star game is in San Jose. Erik Karlsson, Brent Burns, and Joe Pavelski will be heading to that. Logan Couture had the chance of being voted in, but Leon Draisaitl of the Oilers ended up taking a spot. There's still some room for changes in that. I'm sure there's going to be a couple of players who step out due to supposed injuries, and they'll take the one-game suspension. And so maybe a Shark could step in, although it seems rather unlikely now that they already have 3. But the reason I haven't really talked much about the All-Star game is I don't really find it particularly relevant. I mean, I'm sure it's like it's like a fun thing to watch, I guess, on the weekend, and it gives a nice break for hockey if that's what you want. And I'm also sure that with the All-Star game in San Jose, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be able to go to the All-Star game and experience all the fan interaction that the players and everything is set up for them. Sort of like going to an NHL draft, where it's sort of a once-in-a-lifetime experience there, but on TV, you don't really get the whole experience of it all, and so I don't really find it to be that important. So this will probably be my only mention of the All-Star game unless something insane happens. But I guess the fact that it is in San Jose and the fact that it has 3 Sharks players going to it makes it as relevant as possible to the San Jose Sharks, or as relevant as an All-Star game could be to an actual NHL team. Class dismissed.